right, Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. How you doing today? I've got a really simple short one here for you today because I noticed you guys are searching more about the max contributions for 2019. And while you could just Google search this real quick, I want to go over some of the specifics. So what I'm going to share with you today, the contribution limits for the 401k, the IRA and the Roth IRA, but although those are the same, we're going to break them down because the IRS is really clear about the rest of your personal financial situation as to whether you get a full deduction or you're even allowed to contribute to the Roth. So I'll make it really simple. I'll make it really quick here for you today. Let's get started. We're going to do this the old-fashioned way. We'll go to the board. All right, so for a 401k, 403b, whatever it may be that you have workplace related, if you are the 2019 limit is $19,000. If you're over the age of 50, you get $6,000 extra dollars you can contribute. That's $25,000. We've done this before. You guys understand this part. That's the really easy one. If you qualify for this at work or you have it, you get those contributions. You have until the end of the year to make those contributions. Once that's said and done, it's it. You can't go back. You can't make lump sum contributions and things like that. So let's move on. That's a really simple one. Okay, So for the IRA and the Roth IRA, the contribution amounts are the same. However, they are not the same as far as how you get potential deductions or even whether you're allowed to contribute to them. So what I'm going to do, we're going to say for the traditional IRA, you've got $6,000 or $7,000 if you're over the age of 50. So that's your difference there. But what I'm going to do is we're going to break it down like this. We're going to say, okay, there's different tax filers here. We're going to say if you're single, and if you're married, filing joint. Because if you're married filing separately, you've probably got a little bit of a problem on your hand if you're actually married filing separately, but you're still with your spouse. It's different if you're not with your spouse, but that's what that one is. So let's do single and married filing jointly. Now, you can contribute to a traditional IRA, and the hopes are that the contributions you put into the IRA are going to be deductible, right? And so there's a pre-tax benefit to doing that. So if you're single and you have no 401k at work, you are free to contribute the full amount. You can always contribute the full amount, but you're going to be able to deduct the full amount. So you'll get the full deduction here. So that we'll just say all of it will be deductible, okay? If you have a 401k at work, right, and you contribute, let's say you contribute the $6,000 into your 401k. Well, what the IRS does is they say, your IRA. You put $6,000 in your IRA, they're going to say, do you have a 401k? If so, let's make sure your income doesn't fall between $64,000 and $74,000, your adjusted gross income here. So here's what happens. If you have a 401k at work and you put the $6,000 in there, if your adjusted gross income is under $64,000, then you can deduct the full amount, the $6,000 or $7,000, depending on your age. If it's between 64 and 74, you're in this range here, you're going to get a partial deduction. It just depends on how much you've contributed there, and it depends on where you land income-wise. If you make adjusted gross income over $74,000 in the year, then you get no deduction. All the money that you put into that IRA, the $6,000, let's say in this case, isn't going to be deductible. So you get nothing, right? Which means this money's post-tax. If you don't do something about that, it gets ultra confusing in the future. You could very easily be taxed twice on money that you didn't get the deduction for in the first place. So that's single people. That's what you got going on there. Let's move on to married filing jointly. If you have, there's going to be three categories here. If you have no 401k, right, married filing jointly, you or your spouse has no 401k, then you're going to get the full deduction, right? So you're going to get everything, $6,000, $7,000, whatever you put in your IRA, that's what you're going to get. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tricky because you're married filing jointly. The IRS is going to ask the question, do you or your spouse have access to a 401k? Access is the key word there. So if your spouse has access to the 401k, I don't have enough room to write it on there, but if your spouse has access to the 401k, your adjusted gross income range is between 193 and 203, which all that means is, as a family, if your spouse has access to a 401k and your adjusted gross income is under $193,000, you are free and clear. You will get the full deduction from your IRA. Your spouse will do the same. If you are in between 193 and 203, you'll get some sort of a deduction. I did a video on that to show you like how do they figure out what your actual amount you get to deduct is. It depends on where your income lands. And if you're over 203,000, that's it. You actually won't get any of that money deducted on your tax return. So no good, right? Now, if you have the 401k, your spouse, let's say your spouse doesn't or whatever, you have the 401k, then you are, is it 103? 103 to 123. That's the range there. So you get a reduction in your income there. Same thing. If you as a family, your income is below 103, your adjusted gross income under 103, then you will get the full deduction. Between that range, you'll be phased out. You'll have a partial deduction, and anything over that, you actually won't get a deduction. That's a big deal because in a traditional IRA, right, it's supposed to be pre-tax. If you start mixing pre and post-tax money, all of a sudden, it gets to be a little bit hairy. So that's what you have there with the traditional IRA. For the Roth IRA, it's the same thing, but now instead of talking about deduction limits, we're talking about income limits, right? So 6,000, 7,000 is still your max on there, but now Roth IRAs are post-tax, so you're putting money in that's already been taxed. So now we're talking about income limits. If you make too much, then you cannot contribute to a Roth IRA. So we'll do the same thing. This one's actually really simple. Single and married filing jointly. If you're married filing separately and your income, adjusted gross income is over $10,000, like I said, you got a bit of a problem there. You're going to want to get that fixed. But if your adjusted gross income as a single person is between 122 and 137,000, right? Not dollars. Then you're phased out. Same thing here. If your adjusted gross income is under 122,000, you are allowed to contribute to it. Notice I'm not saying deduction anymore, meaning you're allowed to put money in there up to the full amount. Between 122 and 137, you are going to be able to put a partial deposit, not deduction, partial deposit. You need to know that number because if you put the full 6,000 in and you're 136,000 as your adjusted gross income, you made a contribution you're not allowed to make, and if you don't fix it, it could be a problem. Well, it will be a problem. And anything over 137,000, you are adjusted gross income. You are not allowed to contribute directly to the Roth IRA. Any contributions that you made need to be reversed before tax day. Hopefully, either way, they got to be reversed. All right. Married filing jointly. 193 to 203. They raised this a couple thousand for 2020, but we'll do that in another video or something. Married filing jointly. If you're under 193, you can put the full amount in the Roth IRA. If you're between 193 and 203, you're going to have to know the actual amount, the phase-out amount that you can contribute, depending on where your adjusted gross income lands. There's calculators and stuff that'll do it for you. And if you're over 203,000 as married filing jointly, you can't contribute to a Roth. You are not actually allowed to directly contribute to a Roth IRA. Well, there you go. I said I'd have a short one here for you to cover some of the max retirement contributions for 2019, your Roth IRA income limits for 2019, and we also did the traditional IRA deduction limits for 2019. It's almost 2020. Get in there, max it out, put that money away. If you need help, you know where to find us. Thank you for keeping us in mind, by the way, and maybe we'll end up talking to you soon. We'll see you later for the closing beat at 5 o'clock live on our YouTube channel here, and enjoy the rest of your day. See you.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.